right.
Eric, you missed your cue, man. So,
How are you?
how you doing? A little bit of back of the house. I figured we would cut the transition. I can introduce you, Surojit, the Chief Product Officer at Coinbase. I'm excited for this one.
Super excited. But I have to ask you something.
All right.
How are you still standing? Like the whole day I'm watching you. You are always on. What are you drinking?
Yeah, well, the dirty secret is that I don't really do anything to prep for this conference anymore. And the team does all the work, so it makes it easy. So
Got a great team.
I can show up on game day and then kind of limp home after a couple drinks in the dunk tank afterwards. So keep in mind, everyone, if you want a shot at the king, 5:45, I believe I will be at the dunk tank just in case Brad Garlinghouse misses. And I didn't bring a change of clothes either, so I'm going in denim or not at all. No, yeah, that's right.
All right.
Go big or go home.
I'll be there watching.
Yeah. Well, I think it's exciting to have as many of these conversations in rapid succession as humanly possible. And so the reason I'm still standing is I'm just going to plagiarize all the smartest things that people say in my annual report. So this is kind of like front-loading some of that work that otherwise would take me a lot longer to kind of create myself. So Surojit, when did you join Coinbase?
Almost 3 years.
3 years.
Early 2020. Yeah.
So not a lot has happened over the course of the last 3 years at Coinbase or in general. Coinbase has a sprawling, massive product, right? And it's the only public company in the US in the space, by far the largest. There's a few minors, but for all intents and purposes, the first big kind of crypto IPO in the US. And it is best known as like the kind of retail and kind of consumer on-ramp for crypto. You have this magical model of kind of 1% buy, sell, kind of fees is an on-ramp that's driven the business to crazy heights over the last few years. And I've heard for many years that margin is going to get compressed and that business is going to go away. And of course, it never does. It's been like a mainstay for the company. But the question that I always have is what's next? Because eventually, financial services will get more competitive. Those fees will compress over time. And for a crypto custodian, kind of full-service company like Coinbase, it's not really optional to think about what happens next and what happens kind of outside of the core exchange. So I'd love to just hear your mental model for the product at Coinbase, knowing that it's always going to be important to offer like buy-sell functionality and kind of the trust that the custodian brings. But how do you even define the product roadmap, first of all? Because there's like 7 or 8 different things that I think we have teed up to talk about, and they really kind of run the gamut. So how do you organize the chaos, and how do you tell the product story without kind of, and gradually move people into some of the more decentralized products you have versus the blue app that everybody knows?
Yeah. Let me kind of start with our core principles. Look, everything we do, everything we build, are built on 2 core principles. We want it to be easiest to use and trusted, most trusted in the world. So those flow through everything we do, and on the basis of those principles, as you said, we built the largest regulated exchange, the largest regulated custody, largest regulated retail broker, and all those are doing well, and we continue to invest in them. There is long kind of headroom, large headroom for all those. But I think what we are doing now is transforming the company from just a brokerage or an exchange to a bridge to Web3. That's how I think about our product plan today. A bridge to Web3 means how do we get the next 100 million, the next billion users to easily access everything that is out there in Web3. And it's not just the users, not retail and institutional users. It's also how do we get millions of developers come and play in Web3, build innovative products, because that's what is going to grow the overall TAM of this industry, overall opportunity for Coinbase and, frankly, for everybody else.
So there's 2 components there. We're going to talk about the developer side of things because you had some news today that we can cover. I want to talk about in my eyes, a pretty clean split between Web3 and hosted services, right? So there is a big difference to me in user experience, but just from a regulatory standpoint and from like a user control standpoint between Coinbase Wallet and Coinbase proper. So you say bridge to Web3. I find a tough time thinking about that as the same company because of the constraints that are put on the core regulated business. You know, I want my wallet in my pocket, not at JP Morgan, right? That's my bank account, right? How do you navigate around that? How do you make sure that the user experience is seamless, and kind of how do you build that in without tripping yourselves up from an oversight standpoint and kind of mixing messaging or kind of mixing user responsibility in some cases, right? Because they see Coinbase, they think, okay, this is safe, but then if they're on the wallet versus the primary account, you might have two very different outcomes.
Yeah. Taking a step back, look, sometimes the hardest problem is how do you make complex technology very easy to use, right? And it doesn't matter which particular app, it's the main Blue app or Coinbase Wallet. I'll give you some examples. Like in our main Blue app today, if you go today, you're going to see a Web3 browser. You're going to see a DApp wallet integrated in the main Blue app. What it allows you to do, so you can buy, for example, 200 plus assets on our centralized exchange. And at the same time, side by side, you have access to hundreds of additional assets on decentralized exchanges right inside Blue app without worrying about the passphrase and creating a self-custodied wallet. And all of this is powered by, we invested a lot on this, an MPC-based wallet. It's kind of new first in the market, where we keep a shard of the key. You have a shard of the key. Again, not going into too detail of the tech. But it just makes it easy for anyone, any mainstream user, to access all of Web3 services. So with the Web3 browser right inside the Blue app, you can access any NFT marketplace, any social network, Web3 social network, or Web3 gaming. Same in Coinbase Wallet. We have integrated a Web3 browser, and it's a multi-chain. I think it's the best multi-chain wallet out there. I'm, of course, a little bit biased. And if you look at our institutional products, right, what we just announced with BlackRock, for example, I think it opens door for like trillions of dollars to eventually enter crypto and Web3. We are working on things like an institutional Web3 wallet. Same thing, like giving institutions access to Web3. We just announced Node and a suite of developer products, which allows developers to build Web3 products very easily. So that's kind of the overall approach. How do we get users first come to crypto? You need to convert your fiat to crypto, then go and explore all the other services that are out there that, frankly, we cannot build all of them. The whole ecosystem is going to build them.
How do you prioritize the different products that you're going to focus on? Because you look at Coinbase Wallet, I would say that appears to be a successful product outside of the core Blue app. The NFT marketplace, a little bit of a slower start. I'll be euphemistic. How do you feel about the NFT marketplace? How do you feel about the decision to kind of enter that market? What does the V2 look like? And is that how do you make the decision at the kind of company level from a product suite standpoint, where to hit the gas, where to dial back? Is it a timing thing? Is it a prioritization thing? Because from a third-party observer, you guys are doing everything, and you're doing a lot of things well. But because you're doing a lot of things well, sometimes when there's a flop in V1, it stands out. Maybe it's not fair to call the first version of the NFT marketplace a flop. But how do you think about the meta concept there of prioritizing different products and giving it, each one the love and attention that it needs to be successful in a pretty crowded market? And then how do you balance that with keeping like core strategic priorities in front and center so you don't get outflanked by some of your single purpose competitors?
Yeah. Let me deconstruct your question a little bit. I think you're asking two things. One, how do you prioritize? And in fact, you kind of answered your question, but I'll pick on. And then what about NFT and NFT marketplace? So the first question, how do we prioritize? You talked about core and strategic. That's the model we use. We have a model of core, strategic, and venture. So 70% of our resources we dedicate to, again, approximately, it could be 65 on a given day or 72, go into our core products, which are revenue-generating products, products with product market fit. We continue to enhance them. 20% or so go into strategic products. So these are, if you think about it, concentric circles, like adjacent products that are kind of sometimes extension of the core products, sometimes a new strategic bet. And then 10% go into what we call venture products, which are new bets. A lot of them are actually sourced from our employees. We run a Y Combinator style pitch day event internally and source ideas and usually seed them with very small teams, few engineers. That's how NFT Marketplace actually started as well. And then depending on their success and what they're doing, we continue to add more resources or sometimes pause them. The idea is many of these venture products will actually fail. We know that. Some will succeed. Some of them will be multi-billion-dollar products one day, right? So that's the overall model. On NFT specifically, I want to take a step back and talk about our overall NFT strategy, which is much broader than just Coinbase NFT Marketplace. Our overall strategy is to get the creators and collectors come together. And that could be in Coinbase NFT Marketplace, could be on any marketplace, and that's what we are doing. So if you look at Coinbase Wallet today, you can participate in multiple marketplaces on Ethereum as well as on Solana. You can discover those marketplaces right inside the app with the Explore tab that we are adding now. On our main app, I talked about the Web3 browser and dApp wallet. Again, you can discover multiple NFT marketplaces. You can participate with just a few clicks. You can custody those NFTs without worrying about, again, complicated self-custody, et cetera. So that's the idea. As part of Node, we are actually launching NFT APIs, enabling creators to launch their own NFT marketplaces just with a few lines of code. Game developers, they want to add NFTs. So the idea is how do we enable the ecosystem? Because we think NFT is a big category. We'll continue to invest in the broader category, continue to bring collectors and users together. And there'll be many more use cases. Today, it's mostly the collection use cases, but social and gaming use cases coming up. There'll be video NFTs, music NFTs. So super excited about the overall space. Coinbase NFT, part of that overall picture, overall strategy, very early days. We'll continue to iterate on it. We have seen some great demand when we did some of the drops with celebrities. So there is a lot of latent demand on the platform still. And again, we'll continue to spend good amount of resources on our overall NFT strategy.
Do you think that was just mismatched expectations versus where the product was in its life cycle?
Well, I think it's very early, right? As I said, we invest in a lot of early products. We encourage our teams to actually come up with those ideas. And we will continue to iterate. I'll tell you a story. When I was at Google, I came from Google before Coinbase, and when Android phone came up, the first Android phone, all the Googlers got it, and it was a flip phone. It was ridiculous next to the iPhone. iPhone was already out, and people kind of wrote it off. And you can see where Android is today. So products take time and iteration, and we'll continue to give the time and iteration on it. But again, the overall NFT strategy to us is more important than the NFT marketplace itself, because we think, how do that's kind of what I think about, how do we get users and collectors come together in more effective ways. So.
Well, fingers crossed for you that it's Android and not Google+. But I think we have a lot of confidence that excited to see what the next iterations are going to be on the NFT side. Let's switch gears, though, because the really exciting stuff that you guys had out today is on the Coinbase Cloud side of things and the new product Node. Can you just tell everybody a little bit about Node and kind of where this fits into the product suite?
Sure. So Coinbase Cloud, it's one of our product lines. And the idea with Coinbase Cloud is we want to build a one-stop shop for developers to build Web3 apps very quickly, easily, and in a secure way. So Node is piece of the overall puzzle of Coinbase Cloud. We are building a suite of products. What Node does is it gives you free and instant access, read-write access to blockchain. And this is the first step for any developer if you want to build a new Web3 app. This is often the first step. So we have created a powerful kind of, the origin of Node product is actually an enterprise product we have called Query and Transact, or QT. So it has enterprise-grade resiliency, security. We have created powerful indexers, advanced API. It has NFT API I just talked about. So the idea is how do we make developers' life easy, and how do we empower them to build new applications?
Where do you think, I assume that you rolled this out publicly, but in the kind of test phase, where was the most interest? What were some of the kind of core bits of feedback that you were getting from the developers in terms of problem solved? And where do you think you'll see the most pickup? Where will that translate into the Coinbase product? Or will it be more of a community investment that doesn't necessarily tie back to the Coinbase app itself for the foreseeable future?
On kind of developer pain points, when we talk to a lot of developers and again get feedback, understand their pain point, look, every developer needs access to blockchain. So that's the first thing. But we also hear about like payments, fiat rails, and we have a product, Coinbase Pay, where all the investments we have done internally to enable our products with fiat to crypto rails, we have now externalized it with Coinbase Pay, and many developers are already using it. Some of the largest wallets have actually integrated with Coinbase Pay. Similarly, we are looking at storage or key management, right? All the work we have done in MPC-based wallet, can we give that to our developers, help them? We are looking at data and analytics. So there are all these different product suites that we want to build over time. Particularly for Node, the one pain point we heard was it's painful for developers to make multiple API calls to get to the data they need. And this data is like balances, transfers, smart contract events. And we built, I think, one of the most powerful indexers in the industry. So you don't need to make multiple calls. One call, you get data in aggregated way, and you save a lot of time in latency. So that's just one feature. Usability is another one. A lot of the solutions out there are not usable. Again, I said that's kind of one of the core principles of how we build product. Trust and security is a big pain point. That's, again, one of the things that we spent a lot of time and energy over the years, and we have some experience. So we think we built a great product. Of course, it's just the beginning. We're going to continue to iterate, continue to listen to developers, and make the product better.
Is this the beginning of a Coinbase App Store?
Well, so if I don't want to use the word App Store. So if you...
Oh, yeah, you can't. I can.
If you look at our main app, right, if you go to the Browse tab, you are going to see we are making it simple for users to discover any dApp out there, any Web3 app out there. There's a powerful Web3 search. There are, again, things that are trending in Web3. You can discover all of them. So it's already there. That's my answer. And we want to build a developer ecosystem. One side of it is helping developers build better, faster, more secure apps. The other side of it is helping users discover those applications and play with those or participate in those applications in a seamless way. So we're working on both sides of the coin.
One thing that was integrated in the product, just kind of taking a left turn a little bit, but just in the last kind of couple weeks is actually kind of push notifications to users or helping them understand their local representatives and their positions on crypto policy. When did you all start thinking about putting that into the app? And how are you prioritizing information that's getting elevated to users? So that's one example. Coinbase Explorer is also grown in prominence, and it kind of pulls a lot of the data and information that you guys already have in-house for different assets. But where do you how do you prioritize like pushing notifications or pushing kind of information to users in the different applications versus just giving them the brass tacks of like buy, sell, trade, save? Where does education come into it? Because those are kind of a couple recent things that came to mind. Earn, I'm not sure like what's happened to Earn. Now feels like a good time to earn and learn, now that fees are not quite so prohibitively high. But we are in a period where we're going to have a little bit of like a quiet couple of years potentially. And that investment and new users and teaching them how to actually use these things could bear fruit. Do you think about education for users is important, or do you try to abstract away everything except for what the user needs to know at a given point in time?
I think education is super important. Right? We have a Coinbase Learn product, learn.coinbase.com, where we put a lot of articles. We have some podcasts. We have the Around the Block newsletter that we send out. So education is super important. Continue to be important. By the way, we are not the only player doing education. You are doing a great job. And I think the whole industry is working on education. I think, and education not just for the user, by the way. I think developer education is also super important because we need to bring millions of developers into Web3. Today, only 20,000 or so developers in Web3, last count, like active developers. There are like 25 million active developers in Web 2. So education for developers, education for users will continue to be important. In terms of, to your other question, kind of prioritizing what we put in front of the user, that's kind of the crux of the question. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of research, user research. We test things out. We also run machine learning to understand who cares, like do you care about, what do you care about? So all of that feed into how we prioritize what notification to send you, what comes in the feed. So in the main Coinbase app, on the homepage, there is a feed where news and interesting articles, et cetera, that comes up. So a lot of that uses kind of learning from your behavior.
I mentioned you have a bullseye on your back because you're the biggest public kind of company within crypto and the top custodian by assets, top kind of U.S. Crypto player when it comes to kind of market cap and just I think name recognition in general. How have you? Because you joined just before the IPO, about a year or 18 months before the IPO.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of a tale of two tenures for you at the company. How has product strategy changed, if at all, now that you're a public company, in terms of how quickly you're able to iterate, what you're able to kind of put out in the market? Is there like hesitation now to put things out or only do big reveals now that you're a public company? Or have you been able to preserve some of the product DNA that was part of the company for the first formative 8 years since it was existence?
Yeah, look, even before we went public, we always wanted to be most trusted. So we always focused on things like security, compliance, regulation, getting the right licenses whenever it's available. So from that perspective, it's very similar. In fact, that's what helped us go public because we had our house in order, so to say. In terms of how we develop product today, is it different? Not that much different. We want to run really fast, but we don't want to run fast and lose. That's very important because we have seen what happens when you run fast and lose. Just recent months, we have seen lots of liquidations, insolvency issues, security issues in the industry. We think we have the responsibility, not just to our users, because we have their money, sometimes their life savings, also for the whole industry. So we don't want to make moves or build products that puts the users' money at risk or unnecessary risk. So the risk management, compliance, security has always been like our pillars for building products and continue to be. I think the only difference maybe now we think a little bit about how we talk about this product externally a little bit more, because we are a public company and regulators are also looking at what we are putting out there and so on. Okay.
Yeah, we still got a few balloons floating around. No
Something popped, a balloon popped.
We got plenty of security, don't worry. So I guess just wrapping up, I'd love to hear, biggest misconceptions that you have to confront every day, leading product at Coinbase. The Twitter sphere is loud. The critics are loud. But obviously, Coinbase has kind of developed an excellent brand over the last decade. What are some things you actively are trying to change the narrative on, or kind of feedback that you've internalized that will be reflected in kind of the next things that are on the product roadmap that come out the next year and a half?
Yeah. So the first thing is Coinbase is just a brokerage and exchange. We are a lot more than that. We are building a platform for everyone, retail, institutional, and developers, to get them to Web3. We're building a bridge to Web3, so that's the first thing. People don't probably know that we build some of these other products. And a lot of these other products are actually a significant part of our, increasing part of our revenue. Trading used to be all of our revenue. Today, almost 18% of our revenue, that's the last count, last published record, which is non-trading, subscription and services revenue. Almost 2/3 of our users use at least one feature beyond trading. So we are beyond trading. We are creating a full suite of financial services, and we are giving people access to all the innovation that's out there. That's the biggest myth that we want to probably destroy. I think the other myth is Coinbase moves slowly. I hear that sometimes. By the way, I love the Twitter sphere. There's a lot of good feedback also. And they keep us on our toes. And when we launch a good product like Coinbase Wallet, we have seen a lot of Twitter love. So it's great, actually. This industry, there's so much engagement from users. I think we are, as I said, we are moving probably faster than any public company out there. If you look at overall the space of public companies. But we don't want to move fast and lose. We are moving fast with security and compliance and regulation in mind. User safety in mind, usability in mind. And if you have looked at some of our launches the last few months, we are shipping big products that are going to be fundamental, that will bring fundamental change to this industry, bringing the mass market users to Web3, getting developers enabled to quickly write Web3 apps, easily write Web3 apps, bringing institutional money, trillions of dollars of fund into crypto and Web3. We think we have that responsibility, and we continue to work on it.
We got about a minute left here, so just wrapping up. What are some things you'd like to see from kind of this base of your customer, or this kind of group of your customer base, in terms of either feedback or kind of calls to action for folks in the room, and whether it's testing out new products or however you're thinking about making the most out of this conference? Because I know you got the sweet spot upstairs, but.
Absolutely. Look, we love user feedback, customer feedback. So please use our products and give us feedback. Use the new Coinbase Wallet. We have made a lot of investment. It's shiny, glossy, multi-chain. We support 9 L2, L1 networks today. Lots of interesting features. Use our main app, the flagship blue app, and tell us what you think. We continue to work on how to make it simple and easy. At the same time, how do we appeal to crypto native users? How do we make it smart as well? So you are going to see a lot of interesting features there. Advanced trading, we just added advanced trading in the main app. We're going to bring in derivatives in the main app. DEX trading is already live. So you'll see lots of interesting stuff. Give us feedback. And of course, on developer side, if I'm sure a lot of builders are here, a lot of developers here. I'm having a lot of conversation today. So try out Coinbase Cloud and tell us what we can do better. How can we help?
Well, I think if people in this room aren't already using the main app, then you might already be out of luck. But certainly the node.
But try the new features.
Yeah,
the main app. Try the DApp wallet.
Yeah,
And
the DApp wallet, the DEX trading,
Right.
there's a lot of, to your point, there I think are a lot of kind of new things that bridge the old and some of the
Absolutely.
more Web3 native protocols. But on the developer side, excited to see how what kind of fruit this bears, and obviously, if it can bring more folks into the industry, then we'll all be better for it. So, thank you,
Cool.
everyone.
Thank you
That's
so
day
much.
one, baby.
Thank you.